Put this bad boy on charge. Boom! We are live with Matty McSkelcher sitting there with his short shorts and drinking some American coffee.
It's not short.
Outskirts of Las Vegas. No, I'm just kidding. Check it out. I got short shorts too. It's okay, Matt. You don't have to be embarrassed.
I'm in the desert. I'm allowed to wear practically nothing.
So we're doing this live on YouTube today because I wasn't, you don't want to try new tech things when you're going live because you never know if it's going to work or not. So just decided to stick with what I know. Say hello in the chat box. Those of you that are here on the YouTube page, we've got the chat going. But yeah, what's up, Diego? We're going to have some fun here with Matty McSkelcher. He's going to spill all the secrets to his success. All the secrets are going to be spilled. Crown Deer websites. Yo, guys. Laurit's here. Cool, man. Priyansh is here. Good to see you, man. Ricard is here. Dimitri. You looking for comments?
Yeah, I want to see Laurit's.
Yeah, it's on an actual YouTube page. So Matt, if you go to Facebook and you find the link or the post that I tagged you in, there's a YouTube link, and in there you can see the chat.
Got it.
But you'll also see our live stream, so you'll have to put that on
to mute that.
Pause. Arif is here. What's up, everybody? So good to have you. We're gonna have some really fun stuff happening here, and I've prepared this whole. I'm very prepared. I have a bullet point list of 1 items because we're going to be doing Q&A, and I've got some questions for Matt as well. But before we get into it, just wanted to let you guys know that we've got Barcelona. The sales page is kind of coming live. I think is it next week or this week? What did Tim say? I believe it's next week. No, this week. Barcelona sales page is going to be live. So you guys can go ahead and find your tickets there. And if you're sneaky, you can go find the tickets right now, actually, in the one offer away letter that Tim sent out. Barcelona is going to be awesome. We haven't done it in Europe in a long time. And last time we did it was in Bulgaria. Matt, what did you think of Bulgaria?
Oh, it's the best.
Why do I sense sarcasm?
I think that's why we didn't go back to Europe for a while.
No, I mean the reason why we're bashing on that is not the SSM event was actually awesome, but I remember that like the one restaurant we went to I think it's the worst restaurant that I've ever been to. You remember that one like instructor's dinner, and it was like the service.
I honestly don't think I've ever been anywhere worse.
Yeah, there you go. So, but it was a great event, and Barcelona is obviously nice and sunny, and it's going to be a ton of fun. It's just one of those things, like meeting everybody and making it real, especially for all the new people who literally haven't met anybody else live as far as like, freedom business goes. And Matt, you and I forget this, but when we started like 6-7 years ago, who was the first person that you met that was in SSM?
Jesse Pham.
Oh, really? I think, no, he wasn't the first I met, but he was one of the first. But it's like after that, you met a few people from SSM, right? And like, did you find that you related to them on just a totally different level than the civilians out there?
It was actually a really funny experience because it was actually in Thailand when we did the first trip. This was the first guy I'd met, and we had basically agreed on Facebook to share a hotel room for the trip to like keep the costs a bit lower, and we went. And I went and he's like, oh, this is a hotel, just get the key from reception, whatever. So then I went into his room, and I'd realized as I was going in that I had no idea who this guy was, and I hadn't even like stalked his Facebook or anything. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's this guy I met on the internet.
I'm just gonna trust a stranger I met on the internet with my life.
And then I went into the room, and he wasn't there, but his bag was open, and I kind of scanned the top of his suitcase to get a glimpse of who I'm dealing with. It's 100% true. He had his suitcase open, and he had a book about this thick, like this tome of a book, and it was like how to get jacked or something, or like a meathead's guide to being buff. And I'm like,
damn, I could write that book in 2 sentences or 1 sentence. Go to the gym and exercise. I mean, go to the gym and eat well. Okay. So, but it was a cool experience, right? And but yeah, it's like now we kind of take it for granted, right? But I mean, for me, the people that I speak the most to are SSM people, and that's mostly because you've got friends from back in the day and stuff that you're still really good friends with, but on a day-to-day basis, they just can't relate to what you're doing. You know, I was talking to an old friend the other week, and he was like, you know, still working at the job, but he started straight out of university. He's got, I think he was promoted, so he's got 3 weeks of holiday per year now. So he's like really killing it in the States. 3 weeks is like a lot over there. And it's just crazy. Like you just don't, you know, you can be friends with somebody, but you know, as far as like day to day, just being able to talk to them about what you're doing, you just really need to, I don't know, immerse yourself in like the community, and going to the live events is probably the best way to do that. So
I mean, it's also good to be around people that have done what you want to do, because then it kind of
1000%.
convinces you that it's possible. Whereas when you're just sitting alone at home trying to build it, you're just, yeah.
It's still like a fairy tale kind of.
Mm.
So yeah. But anyways, Barcelona tickets, the page is coming out this week, so keep an eye out. It's going to be awesome. We're all going to be there. Probably be drinking quite a few beers, unfortunately. It does tend to happen. So what we're going to do here is, I've got a bunch of questions here for Matt that have been submitted by our lovely community. And as I come up with some questions for you, I will ask them. But I do have one question I want to ask right away before we dig into the questions in the list here. And that is, I think I know the answer because I think I was living with you at the time. But when would you say that you went from like not really knowing what you're doing and kind of struggling to like being on a really, really good path to where you are now? Like what changed? Because you weren't doing this, you weren't just doing more of the same things and then things got better, right?
No, so I mean, like the thought process behind it was kind of like, you're trying a thing and then you test it and it doesn't work, and then you're like, damn, it doesn't work, and then you do that, you repeat that like a ton of times, and then obviously you want to quit and all this kind of thing. But then you kind of, I don't know, like I was always exposing myself to different like books, and I'd go to like coffee shops and look at a book. What's that? Exposing
yourself to children, I said? Or you were, how are you?
Damn joke.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like kind of like rewatching videos, rewatching just different things, reading different books and all this kind of thing. And it's kind of like piecing together all these different ideas and trying different combinations and going like, oh, what about if we did it like this? You know, like this kind of angle approach with this kind of offer and that kind of thing. And it's just kind of like crafting that one offer. And then, yeah, one day I was watching like a video of some kind, and I had this like click of and again, this wasn't like the first time I'd had this like genius click of this is the one, but it was just another one in a long line of clicks. And yeah, and like I always did when I had the click, I would just run to the computer and just like start building the thing I'd thought of. I'd like write it down, and then I'd always like map it on paper and then like build it at the time in ClickFunnels. And yeah, and then one day I built one. In fact, you were there when I did it. And
fun fact for those who don't know, Matt and I used to live in the same room. I believe you had a bed and I was sleeping on a mattress on the floor. And by the way, that's how my wife now, which is weird to say, she used to like come there and sleep with me on the floor.
And I used to have to sit in the living room and wait.
And I was like, man, if that's just you know, proof that this is the type of girl that you want, I don't know what kind of better proof you'll find that she's like, she thought I was some like Swedish peasant or whatever. It's like, this guy has no money whatsoever. He's sleeping on the floor. Sidetracking here, but yeah. So you watched this video and you heard a piece of advice or something that led you.
It wasn't advice. It was like
it was an idea.
Yeah, it was just like in fact, the line that I heard was, the offer has to be so good that people would be literally dumb or retarded not to buy from you. And then it just kind of clicked in my head, like, yeah, it was from that. And and I just realized, like, all these offers I've done, they're good offers, but you're not retarded if you don't buy them. and then I made an offer that I considered retarded if you didn't buy it.
Yeah. And that was kind of the start of your, I guess when the wind stopped blowing in your face and it started blowing in your back instead, and it was kind of like, you know, it was easier to run. And then things
I remember the day really well because it's quite surreal. So I set it all up
too as well. Like I had quite a vivid memory of this period, like from your perspective.
But yeah, I remember we went out that night and got like pretty drunk or whatever. And this was before. And then I came back at like 11 p.m. And then I opened the email because I was curious to see what had happened. And I had like 5 sales or something. And it just completely blew my mind. Yeah, but that was kind of the thing. And then it's funny how like it is just one moment that does that. Yeah.
But it's, I mean, that's at the core of everything that we do, at the core of trying to build a successful business. I think if there's one thing that you know, if you talk about big dominoes where like you knock this one thing over and it's gonna make all these like small problems go away, it's probably that, right? It's probably having something that's just ridiculously valuable. Like when you're selling $100 for $10, you know, that's just an offer. Like who wouldn't take that? You'd be so stupid not to take that.
Yeah, it's not always about price too. Like it's not the lowest price. It's like the best, just like a ridiculous offer. Like for what, like the value for what you're paying is just so like tilted toward the value side, but it's just like ridiculous. But if you're like saying, oh, it's $1,000 and you get this piece of shit, then you know the value's expensive, but you need to like get that scale as a really good hand gesture to describe that.
No, but totally. It's not necessarily about price. It's about value, and then it's about bang for buck. Really, it's like what are you getting for the money that you're spending? So, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. Yeah, it all comes down to like basically what you're offering. Like it's the offer, ultimately.
Yeah. So if you're hiring a Facebook ads guy and you're paying him $2,000 a month, but he's generating $3,000 in profit, like that wasn't cheap, but like fuck, that's a great investment. So the offer is a huge thing, and you know, definitely I didn't really ask that question to tie it into this, but Tim's one offer away is all about that. It's all about coming up with and crafting. I think they were actually going to be like crafting a sales letter and actually like working on the sales material, but that is something that we'll be doing in Barcelona as well, is crafting your offer, because as most people who've been like super successful, it's usually just one thing, right? They're usually just selling one thing that's killing it. And then there's like a bunch of other things around there, but you only need one offer to really do well. Like you've only got one offer and like your business doing well. You take Tim, he's got one offer. It's like SSM. That's the thing that's been doing really well. And so that's what we want to do in the one offer away program as well. It's like helping you craft an entirely new offer or improving on what you're already selling. But again, I didn't ask that question to tie it in, but it does tie in really nicely. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, and it's not just the case of creating like a ton of offers. I mean, I'm like very confident I could easily create another offer, but like once you've got that one, it's just so much easier and less effort to just find different ways to just get that in front of as many people as possible. Yeah, would be to build an entirely new offer. So like really you just need one offer.
Yeah, and then if you have that, you can focus all your time on like, you know, exposure, like trying different channels to advertise and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then just scaling those channels. And if you wanted to be a machine, you could just build another offer and do the same thing.
Yeah.
Which is totally doable. But you just lack the motivation, I think, once you have a working offer.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, that's really cool.
It's huge. That's a huge one. So Laurit says he's one sale away from joining the one offer away. All right, man, we're cheering for you. Make it a challenge. Turn it into, you know, give yourself a deadline. Let's do it, man. All right, should we dig into some questions from the group? I'll just start with Carl, our main man from Sweden. What's a good strategy to get recurring business every month and not have to chase new leads all the time?
So I'm just reading through all the comments on the YouTube.
Don't do that. Spread the wisdom, Matt. What's a good strategy to get recurring business every month?
So this is interesting. I actually read something interesting as well, which applied to me. I read it in a sales letter. It's not like I read a book or anything. But I read this in a sales letter from, I think, Frank Kern or something, but then I had this exact same experience when I thought about it. So a long time ago, I made an offer. I emailed out saying, like, you get 25% off if you sign up for this recurring, like, get X every month, like a video a month, 2 videos a month, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And I did I did like an email blast, and I promoted it heavily to my list. Not even heavily, no, I did a half-assed attempt at promoting it to my list. And a few people signed up. And this is weird. There's like a lag on my thing, and I'm watching myself in lag. I'm going to go to this thing so I can't see myself. Yeah, so, and a few people bought it, but it was like a really low percentage, like very few. And I was like, oh, okay, it wasn't that worth it. Like, I'm better off just promoting it like shotgun style. Anyway, so quite a few people signed up, and some would be signed up for like 2 a month, some for 1 a month, whatever. But what I found was, like, the retention rate from these people would be like a year. Like, some of them are still on, and this is like a year, like over a year later. And like, sure, they'd drop off, but they'd drop off at like month 7, month 8, month 9. And if I was to like combine for like 8 months of payments into one big payment, that is a massive sale, which, you know, if I'd done a blast and got that one sale, I'd have been like super thrilled about.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's, I mean, in terms of the question, like, what's a good strategy? The only strategy I've ever really played with is targeting my own past clients that already have a relationship with me. And I think that's a good strategy. Like, kind of, you know, you get them through the door with like one offer that's like not really high risk for them. And you go, hey, look, that was a great experience, wasn't it? How about you sign up for this longer term repeat thing? Because they know you can deliver, and, you know, they're getting, and they feel like they're getting a better deal because they are, you're giving them a lower price or whatever. And bang, bang, bang. And, but yeah, I mean, ultimately, I don't know, I think the best recurring model is kind of like a consulting kind of gig, because, you know, I've got like coaches and stuff, and then you sign up with them and you're paying them monthly, like quite a bit of money. But then if you can like tap into that desire in the person to succeed almost, then, you know, they're not going to want to like cancel, because that means they're giving up, if that makes sense. So you've kind of like got them like a drug almost, like they're just you know, they just show up for your call. Like, and again, that's a certain type of customer. Not everyone's going to do that. There'll be people that just don't show up and stuff, and they'll just drop off. But no, I think consulting is a really cool kind of model, because if you can get that relationship with a person and really make them grow toward where they want to get, and you're like the one pulling them toward that, then they're going to stick with you, in my opinion, assuming it's the right person.
Yeah.
And then there's also, obviously, the easiest example would be like a Facebook ad consultant or an AdWords. I have a friend from Melbourne who does AdWords consulting or management. And yeah, he'll get a client, and he can do like crazy stuff to get them as a client, like charge ridiculously low rates for the first month and stuff. But then he gets them the results, like he'll get them like a 10% boost in their AdWords conversions.
Yeah. And
he's like, look, I'm getting you this boost. You're paying me $1,000 a month, but you're making way more than that because of it. And they're like, great. And they just leave him alone. And any customer he gets that's like a pain in the ass, he'll just get rid of them, because he's like, look, I'm not in this to, you know, babysit people. I want the ones that just are happy with the results, and they have no interest in fighting me because they know I'm doing a good job. And he's just like, I mean, he was doing a campaign last time I spoke to him. He's like, okay, I've got like 15,000. I'm going to do a Facebook ad campaign and spend the whole 15K and see how many customers I can get. And like, he can do that purely because of like his business model being recurring and delivering good value to his customers, and so that they just don't want to leave. Yeah. It'd be dumb to fire him if they're making money because of what he's doing.
Yeah.
It'd be like firing the top salesman.
Yeah, I think just on a fundamental level, it's about just because I hear a lot of Facebook ads people, for example, who they'll charge say $1,500 a month for their service. So that means you're gonna have to make me $1,500 profit at the very least every month in order for me to be able to justify keeping you on board. And a lot of the people that I'm talking about, they can't pull that off. So then they're surprised that they cancel on month 2 or 3. But it's like, if the value doesn't exceed the price that I'm paying on a monthly basis, then I'm not gonna stick around. So just on a fundamental level, I think it's about just delivering more than what they're paying for every single month, and it needs to be something that they need every single month. You can't sell you can't sell something that we only use one time as a recurring thing.
There's another side to that as well. Just from an experience I had, I hired a Facebook ad manager, and I was paying him $2K a month.
Yeah.
And I would have been quite happy to give him 6 months to crack it, right? Like, I was like, okay, build me a new campaign. I would happily just let him do it for 6 months and not make any money. And then, like, after 6 months, if nothing had happened, then like decide if I wanted to keep him or not.
Yeah.
But I got rid of him after the second month, and it wasn't because he wasn't doing well. It was because I just felt like he wasn't doing anything. And he wasn't, in fairness. Like he would, when you have the sales call, he's like, yeah, we're going to like test like 100 different ads a week, do this. Right. And then, and I on like month 2, I went into the Facebook to see like all the different tests and see the kind of things they were running. The only profitable ad they'd ever run was the one I had made. And
right. So you didn't see his value.
He had, and it's also like kind of like what he said he would do and what he had actually done. So he said that's like 100 ads a week. And all he had done is put me in contact with some guy in Bulgaria who didn't know like shit about anything.
Yeah.
And then they were just split testing the most terrible ads, and they'd done like 5 a month, and they all sucked. And I was looking, they weren't even like they'd clearly not researched the customer or the product or a sales copy that I had written or anything like that. They'd just written a load of dog shit, and they were just like wasting money testing them against my ad, which was obviously a good ad. And I'm like, hey, what happened to testing 100 a week? And then Mr. Bulgaria is like, oh, let me check with so-and-so. And
we're bashing Bulgaria a lot in this episode.
Oh, hopefully there's no Bulgarians listening.
Maybe
Lubo's few results.
Cool. And then just lastly on that, I wanted to add, as far as like a strategy to actually make the sale, I think recurring can be a big commitment to people. So, having a great one-time front-end offer, like a tripwire kind of thing, I think is good to like get your foot in the door and then offer the recurring, not, as the first thing, because it's a huge commitment just mentally to be like, oh, I'm going to pay for this every month, even though you can cancel on month 1. So I think that makes sense. Like making a ridiculous offer, one-time thing. And then once they buy that, then you could, one-click upsell the recurring thing, basically. Cool.
Yeah.
Next up, so Corey's got a lot of questions. I think I'll just pick one of them, and then if we have time, we'll come back to it. Matt, have you seen Corey's? I'll source it to my.
I've got him up now.
You can see his questions. What?
His question number 2: how do you handle pain in the ass clients who nitpick every little thing? I outsource it to my sister. She's the project manager.
Yeah. So if we can pick one, I would vote for number 3. Does that sound good?
What is the biggest, most profitable lesson you've learned in your business, either through failure, a book, etc.?
That's a good question.
I'll need to ponder on it. I'll let you answer it first.
What's the biggest, most profitable lesson you've? Well, actually, it's going to be the same answer as before. If you come up with a fucking amazing offer, people are going to buy it. That's the most profitable lesson that I've had. And also retarget. Retarget people. If they come to your site and they don't buy, just retarget, because it's like somebody automatically following up with them for you, and those ads convert like fucking crazy.
Yeah. Actually, okay, I would agree with that, but I want to say something different just because it would be boring if I repeated you.
Yeah.
Second one, I kind of talked about this in Vegas at the last event. I don't know if anyone saw that speech, but this is one I got from you, believe it or not. It's the idea of just upselling the crap out of people and just And even things that just like, I don't know, you've given me like so many random upsells that just like not everyone buys them, but then
it's still money in the bank.
Yeah, it's just like
it's like
$100.
They just bought a video and you're like, hey, would you like a three pack of Calvin Klein underwear?
They're like,
sure, why
I
not?
need that. But no, it's just things like Fast Track. You know, it costs me nothing to put their order at the top of the production queue, but they'll pay $100 for that privilege.
Yeah,
and
we charge like 300 now for Fast Track.
300. That's crazy. I probably couldn't get away with that. That'd be like,
nah, for you, that'd be hard. But that's a good one. That's a good one.
And it's also like, hey, you ordered this. Would you like an extra 30 seconds? Would you like this? Would you like that? And yeah, like you'd be surprised how many people. And it's like some people only go for Fast Track. Some people only go for the extension. Some people get everything. Some people will get like the other random ones we got. And yeah, this stuff adds up. It just
for sure.
And it's costs you nothing to get it.
Let's be honest, like if you've got a business and you've got some traction already, the absolute best and easiest and quickest way to make more money is to add upsells so that the new customers that come in, pick that up. I mean, I've done the math. I think we do 15 grand extra a year for like adding a 2-sentence thing to my order form and telling my animator, so like, okay, this guy needs subtitles. I'll pay you $50 for it, whatever.
That's a good sentence. It's not often you get to boast. I wrote one sentence and then I made 15K a year.
There you go.
That's like literally the power of an upsell.
Yeah. And the bulk too. Like I added a paragraph to the website saying, hey, if you buy 3 videos, we'll give you 10% discount. And in 3 weeks, 5 people took us up on that. And 1 person had done it in the 5 years before. Literally 1 paragraph tripled the value of 5 clients in a month.
Yeah, and that paragraph does not need the magic sales power of like a good winning Facebook ad. It can be literally just, hey, do you want subtitles with that?
Yeah, just ask.
And
just ask.
Yeah, like no fancy magical sales writing skills are required for upsells. You can just literally just say, here's the offer. Do you want it?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if the better you word it, the more likely people will buy it. But ultimately, it's just a case of saying, here it is. Yeah. But yeah, that's my number 1.
Those are 3 now. That's a lot. Like having an amazing offer, just the better the offer, the more you're going to sell. Retargeting and adding upsells. Probably the 3 biggest dominoes as far as like increasing your revenue goes that you could flip. Cool. So we've got another question. I'm probably going to butcher this name, or maybe it's just toying with us. It's Erwin. Yeah, Erwin. It was easier than I thought. Just had a funny spelling with it. So his question is, how do you target OKF? Does it mean one key fan? How do you target one key fan companies? People that you don't usually find in Facebook, like CEOs. Thanks. Okay, so that's pretty easy. Like you can target CEOs on Facebook, but I don't think it's very, very good. Right?
I disagree. I've definitely done it.
You've done it.
I've sold like thousands.
Yeah, maybe I'm saying that because in the Swedish market, it's too small of an audience.
Okay, yeah. Okay, no, I guess this is from like a European country, I suppose.
But I mean, regardless, it does work, but there's some ifs in there. But also, I want to mention there are other places to look, such as in LinkedIn, you'll find all the CEOs that you can imagine, and on Google AdWords, for example, like if you're using. Like the people that find my website, they're mostly CEOs. So that's how you target people. But you can also do it by job title on Facebook, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. But I'm going to answer the question a different way. So yeah, I agree. Facebook's probably not the best way to target these people. And it's definitely not the best way. So he's in Mexico. I've just found out. I think I could have just read Mexico somewhere. So, I mean, there's like 100 different channels you can use. Facebook is just kind of like the mainstream one that everyone talks about. But yeah, like LinkedIn, Sales Navigator. I've never had a good experience with LinkedIn ads, but I imagine they're really cheap in Mexico. But yeah, for the US, they're like $10 a click, at least from my experience. But yeah, you got like LinkedIn and you can do like direct mail with LinkedIn, as in like direct message with LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff. Like LinkedIn's one, you can email, you can send letters, you can
You can automate it too, like LinkedIn Helper, for example. It will like visit profiles on your behalf, and then those people get notified and they go visit you. And you can also automatically message people with LinkedIn Helper on LinkedIn. So you could basically be doing cold outreach.
And just kind of like as an idea to throw out there, if you take like cold calling as an example, you know, you kind of go, oh, that's not good because it means I have to cold call every day. It's like, yeah, that's kind of true. But then if you were to like say cold call and found a process that converted sales, then it doesn't mean it has to be you doing it. You've got like the template that converts on the phone, and then you just get someone else doing that for you and they get like paid to do it. And then yeah, like you can outsource anything, but if you can find a way that works for it, be it cold calling, be it like sending letters, be it whatever, you just like, you will obviously have to pioneer that route. But then once you've got that, you can get someone else to do it. So it doesn't have to be like Facebook ads or something, because that's like very, you know, you don't have to talk to anyone and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if that's a good answer, but
no, it sucked. It's terrible. Let me interject here. Let's take a break from the questions, and I want to ask you. Let's spice things up a bit. What's your first? Like, if I say, what's your first freedom business memory? When you realized that like this shit is real.
First one. Is it okay?
Or not best. The best. You can do the best one. No, I wanted to hear both actually. First and best.
Okay, first was, so it was a long time ago. This was like before we lived together in Poland. This was like back in a more scrappy era for me, where like I'd work on the business and then I'd be like, yeah, I made some money, and then I'd go like crazy and travel and do all this stuff and then not work the entire time, and then I'd have to start again when I got back, basically.
Dude, that's one of my biggest lessons and failures. Would you say that as well? Like just siphoning out all the cash that you made and spending it and like losing all the momentum?
Yeah, killing them. Actually, that was one lesson my dad used to hammer into me when I started the business. Is my dad like used to run a business too, so he's got quite a bit of experience. And he used to hammer into me like, because I'd always do that. Like I'd get like all this momentum and I'd be like, yeah, I'm making these sales of this, great. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to like Thailand.
Yeah, see you in 2 weeks.
Always be like, no, you need to like double down the momentum and get it going. You need to like double down on the momentum. I'm like, oh, screw that. I'm going to Thailand. It'll be fine. Momentum dies, and then you're back to square one. But so during this era, I guess the first kind of moment was I'd done a big trip around Europe, and then we did a spontaneous. My friend Frank found this. It was like a super discounted cruise ship, like a 5-star cruise liner from Barcelona, where we were, to
I remember this.
Florida. And we did that. And although that wasn't like the moment of like, whoa, this is like so freedom, because I was kind of doing it with them. When we got there, we like did a road trip, and then we were down in Miami, and we were sitting on the beach at a Starbucks, and I opened the email and there was like a payment notification for like $597. And I was like, wow, like this just happened. Like I'm on the beach.
Literally on the beach.
And I just done all this bullshit, like travel, like, you know, driving around and taking this boat and all this kind of thing. And yet this like thing of cash just like hit the bank account.
Showed up. Yeah, those are pretty good. Those memories, they stick around, eh?
Yeah, they were cool.
So that was the first one?
That was like the first one I can think of.
Yeah.
Aside from like the first sale, of course, where I remember going to the ATM and withdrawing all the cash.
Yeah.
That was probably the first one, but like the first like travel freedom one was that one on the beach.
Yeah, that's cool. What about the best one?
To be actually, this is interesting. I think it might actually be quite recently, as in 2 weeks ago. I don't know if it's freedom business, but it's kind of like something I did that was really cool. But I had a lot of fun with it. So I made this like big surprise holiday for my family, and basically flew them all out to Orlando, Florida, where we stayed at Disney World, and we go into like one of the best hotels there. And I have a big family. There were 8 of us in total.
That's cool.
So it wasn't a cheap, this was not a cheap venture.
I bet, man.
It honestly probably cost me like 10K for the whole thing. But
I would have actually thought it was more than that, but
I don't want to know if it was. It probably could have been. I did not add it up. But yeah, like there's the flights, and my dad lives in Hong Kong, and I flew him out without telling them as well. So he was like hiding in the airport. We dressed him up as like some hippie biker dude with a mustache.
That's awesome.
And it was like a full-on surprise where like they didn't find it. Like they all thought they were going to Croatia. Like we dropped all these hints, and even like my dad messaged them saying, "Oh, you're going to Croatia. That'll be really cool. Have fun." Because they didn't know he was going to that, and they all thought, "Oh, we're going to Croatia. Matt doesn't know we know." But turns out they got to the airport, and then they like went to the check-in machine robot, put in like the passport, and then it came up with, "You're going to Orlando, Florida, correct?" And
they were like, "No."
Wait a minute.
That's
oh
awesome.
Shit.
That's really cool, man. It's like you're giving back a bit. And it's always more rewarding, I think, when it's not just about you.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Like sharing the freedom is kind of like the most like fulfilling part. I mean, at first it's all about you. Like when you're just starting out, you're just like being able to stay on a beach. But then it comes about being able to share that with like people and stuff like that.
Totally.
Yeah, that was cool. There's been loads more, of course, but that one's probably a really good one.
Yeah, I like that. All right.
What was the question? I don't even know what we were talking about. Oh, that was your question, right?
Yeah, that was mine. So let me take Nicholas, the Prince. He's asking, what marketing campaign / platform have worked the best for you, and why do you think that is? Those are very different things, though, aren't they? Campaigns and platforms. It's like, are you talking? Because to me, a platform is like Facebook or AdWords, and a campaign is like an offer.
I don't know. I mean, I use a lot of different ones, and they all work. Like and they kind of take shifts into which one was crushing it. Like I've had a time where Facebook just blew away everything I was doing by like a ton.
Yeah.
But that's not the case now. Now another one's like overtaken. But no, like, I mean, like for me in terms of campaigns and channels, the main ones would be, like Facebook, there's like cold email, there's like retargeting, there's selling to previous clients, there's resellers. What else is there? I'd say they're the big four.
There was like 8, but okay.
But yeah, so I mean it alternates, and I think the only way is to just have multiple ones, maybe. I mean, obviously if you find one thing that works, put all your effort into scaling it to as far as it can go, which was my mistake with Facebook actually, where I scaled it to a point where it was almost like a comfort zone point where I was like, oh shit, this is doing so well, and I had to like take on all these extra stuff and all this kind of thing. But then I think I just got comfortable with that. Like I was like, oh, this is great, this is crushing it, and I just didn't try any further to like continue to scale it.
Yeah.
And I didn't like learn more about Facebook and what I should be doing to like make it go bigger. I just kind of like did what I was doing, and it slowly like started to slow down a bit as time went on, which is like normal and fine. But yeah, like and that's more because I was focused on different things at the time. It's kind of around the time I was climbing Everest and stuff like that. Like I was more interested on doing these ridiculous experiences and traveling to like cool places and stuff. So I don't know. In my opinion, you can only ever have one priority that you actually get anywhere with.
Right.
And yeah, my priority at the time was like I'd already got the business going, and that's that. What about you?
I would say, as far as platforms go, I would say Google would be my favorite as far as getting sales. Like both organic and AdWords are both great. But it's interesting because I believe the answer that you gave might actually tie into the second question, which is why haven't, or what's stopping you to hit eight figures? And I'm guessing the answer is that once you have a bit of success, there's not that pressure, there's not that drive to like really go crazy with it. Is that fair, or why haven't you hit 8 figures?
That's interesting. Just to like finalize my answer on the last part of the question, I would say the one that worked best was Facebook, but that's not the one that's working best at the moment. But it worked better. I mean, like in terms of the best, I absolutely love it. Like if you can get a Facebook campaign that's crushing it, it's so easy to scale, so easy to get results from, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, but yeah, in terms of the question, what's stopping you hit 8? I think before it was kind of what I was saying before about like comfort, just like you're happy with where you're at, and then your priorities shift to other things. I will say now that my focus is coming back to that, like getting to that kind of next level.
It's starting to eat you a little bit, just kind of like the fact that you're probably not growing tremendously right now in your business because you haven't been focused on that, right? So I'm guessing, is that starting to eat away at you a bit, or?
No, so my focus now, I mean, you know this, and I think someone's kind of mentioned this in a question coming up.
Yeah.
Is I've like hired a coach and stuff, and I'm hardcore into learning investment stuff. So, and this is like a lot of stuff. So I bought like an investment property and like learning stock trading and stuff like that. And like, that's kind of where my focus is at the moment. And I mean, obviously I'm still running the business. I'm letting it do its thing. And I've got like my like sister running it, and she's doing a really good job and all that kind of thing. But, and I'm still building new campaigns, like completely. I've hired a guy just last week who's building like a LinkedIn Sales Navigator campaign, and he's like pretty pro. So we'll see how that goes. And I'm still like trying all this stuff. But in terms of my personal focus, it's on that. And like, that's kind of like a new vehicle. But it's like, so it's got like new enthusiasm for me because it's like a new thing that I'm learning and getting better at all the time. And I'm kind of like trying to use this vehicle to get to that kind of like level.
Gotcha.
And it's good because I don't have to like worry about this new vehicle like providing for me or anything like that. I can just leave it to do its thing and learn it. And then I don't have to feel bad if I like make mistakes and stuff. I can actually just like do whatever it takes to get good at it. And meanwhile, the other thing, I'm looking after it, and it's keeping me, it's keeping me in 5-star hotels and
what more can you ask of life?
No, you know what I mean? But no, but I'm kind of, in terms of like 8 figures, like I definitely want to get there now. I didn't really care so much before, but in terms of getting there, I'm using this new vehicle to get me there as opposed to the old vehicle, which I'm still growing, but in terms of priority, that's where it is.
All right. Cool. I'm checking the questions here to see if we got any exciting ones. Obviously, I want people to get the most out of the session. So let's do a quick answer on this one. How many freedom businesses have you had running at the same time?
At max, probably 3.
How many would you recommend?
1, maybe 2.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Focus on one thing.
Yeah.
And then once it's like fully automated, I mean, I don't know, one of the biggest things I've learned over the past years is you can only focus on one goal at a time, and be that, losing fat and getting muscle. If you're going to do that like properly, your priority is not going to be on your business. You can have it as a side project, but ultimately to get anywhere, you need to put all your focus into that one thing you're focused on.
Yeah.
And then you can get it to the point you want it at, and then you can change your focus, and then you can like maintain that. But you can't, in my opinion, effectively grow too. Yeah,
totally agree.
Pick one, you grow on that, and you can preserve what you've got, but can't grow what you've got.
Yeah, totally agree.
At least from my experience. So let's get one business, grow that business to where you want it to be, and change your priority. And I've gone through things like I did that fitness challenge with Tim, and I've done like travel challenges, like all kinds of stuff. And now it's like this whole investment thing. But that's where, you pick one thing and you focus on it, and then you get to where you want to be, and then you pick the next one.
Yeah. And that's really hard because we all have a bit of shiny object syndrome. I have it a lot. And one thing that I've identified with myself now is like, it comes in seasons. Like I'll go through like a week period where I'm coming up with new ideas, like for businesses or projects, like every single day that I actually want to do. And if I don't do anything about it, you know, they drift away and then I forget about them. But in the past, I would have like come up with an idea, start executing with it. But if you really like put it down on paper, you looked at it and you thought about it, like, what if I put my time into this versus putting my time into what I'm already working on? This new thing would just be fucking silly because it makes no sense. Yet in the past, I've gone in and like just worked super hard on something that in some cases like wasn't even going to make any money. It was like just some stupid project. And you're like, dude, what the hell? And I've been getting so much better at that now and being like starting something new and then very, very quickly questioning it. And then always going back to what I'm already working on and improving on that. It's like, there's this great quote from Bruce Lee. It's like, it's something along the lines of, I fear not the man who's thrown 10,000 kicks once. I fear the man who's thrown one kick 10,000 times. It's a good quote. Anyways,
actually, so just a really good add-on to that, like a way of, this is an analogy that was put to me once. I found a really good way of thinking of it. Imagine like being in a playground. You know, every country calls them something else. So you know, roundabout, those like things in the playground where you get on them and you spin them.
Yeah, we have one here at my house.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you get them in the playground, you spin them. And you have to like, to get them spinning, they're like hard at first. And then once you get them going, you just have to like tap them to keep them going really quick.
Yeah.
And it's super cool. So it's kind of like imagining your priority as a roundabout and you're in a playground and there's a roundabout in each corner of the playground. If you're focused on spinning one, you know, it takes a lot of effort to get it going. But once you get it going, you just have to like tap to keep it going. But then focusing on two priorities is kind of like trying to get two of those roundabouts in the playground to momentum at the same time. Yeah. So you're at one and you're like trying to get it going, you get it going, and then you run to the other one and you get that one going. But meanwhile, that one's slowing down.
And also they're really fucking far apart too, because in order to get the other one working, you have to put in a lot of work.
Run onto the other one. And so you're wasting tons of energy switching between the two.
Yeah.
And during that time of transferring between the two, this one's now losing momentum.
Yeah.
And it's like in the phase of like being harder to get going again.
So
you need to pick one roundabout and just like get it to that point where you just have to tap it like every like 30 seconds or something to keep it going. And then you can go to the next roundabout, but you can't do both at the same time.
So true. Okay. Best way to create copy if you've never done it before? I would say walk a mile in your customer's shoes. What do you think?
Best way to write copy if you've never done it before? I don't know. I would say read David Ogilvy's books and just follow his rules.
Cool.
Be conversational. In terms of the best way, it would be to like write out sales letters by hand to kind of get a feel, and then also just kind of have a set of rules. I use Ogilvy's rules, and then just write kind of conversationally through those rules. In terms of easy way, I would say
just get started, because you're gonna suck at it. Like I sent you a letter that I wrote the other day. It was pretty good, right? Like it was a huge improvement from like I didn't know what I was doing in the beginning. But then like the more you read and the more you try and stuff, then you start to pick up on a few lessons here and there. And then
like I definitely didn't realize. I thought it was a very pro letter that you wrote. It wasn't until I got halfway through that I realized you had written it. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I thought that was an awesome compliment. I thought this was written by a pro copywriter. It's like, shit, man, it was.
I literally thought you had shared it with me as like, you're like, hey, what do you think of this software? And I thought it was like something I might be interested in. I'm like,
right, okay.
Yeah, this is cool. And then I'm like, yeah, I just became a dad. I'm like, oh shit, this is Bobby.
Awesome. Cool. So next question from Erwin again. My business is to help connect B2B, get them high ticket and constant leads. How do you, one key fan is not a verb. You can't one key fan a business. One key fan is like the audience, is the people that you're selling to. I really don't, do you know what that question means? How do you one key fan a business?
I think I know what he's trying to say. Business is to help. I think he's trying to,
like, how do you find his audience? I think he's asking, how do I find my audience?
And how do you target them?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll answer both. So how my business is to help get them high ticket constant leads. So a guy I know who does this exclusively through LinkedIn, and he does a really good job of it. So I think LinkedIn is a good place to find those kind of like consulting clients. I'm sure there's more. In terms of your audience, it's kind of like, you know, look at whoever you've sold to before. Like you've gone, yeah, I've worked for gyms and I've found gyms get really good leads. Then it's like, well, there's your one key fan, gyms, and just exclusively target gyms because you know it's works. So it's kind of like as soon as you get that one customer that's like actually paid you money and you've got them results, just find like 700 of him or her, and yeah, just like specialize in that thing. Because you can, you know, like I've met a guy who had built like a marketing campaign for a dentist place, and then they built an entire company in Australia. No, they target the US, and they basically go to every single city in the US and they say, hey, to dentist people and go, hey, we've got this campaign that gets like X amount of dentist leads a month. It'll cost you like this much money for us to set it up for you, and you pay us monthly to maintain it. And they're like, you know, you get a customer in every city. I mean, well, not yet, but you know, in theory. And then, yeah, because the campaign isn't like conflicting with competitors because it's different areas. And then you just get like, even like one customer paying you $1,000 a month per state or per major city. And then, yeah, like they've got value. They're not going to leave because they're getting leads from you. And yeah, it's like, it's awesome. That also comes into that recurring business thing as well. But yeah, that's kind of
I also think
what I would say.
I also think a lot of it is sometimes we forget to just use our common sense and just ask ourselves a simple question and use our brain and come up with an answer that makes sense. Like, I think oftentimes when it comes to audience, you just need to ask yourself, like, okay, who would buy this? Like if you're talking, my business is to help connect B2B. I don't know what help connecting them means, but getting them high ticket sales, I guess. If your business is to help other businesses get high ticket sales, who's going to buy that? Well, CEOs of small to medium companies, probably. That's your audience. Those are the people.
And it's common sense too. Like if you had a way of selling, like let's say I sold sofas and you knew how to sell sofas or get leads for people to come, you knew how to find people that wanted to buy sofas. I would happily pay you like $10,000 a month if you could sell $11,000 worth of sofas every month for me. So it's kind of like whatever you've got, if you can deliver a certain result for a certain person, then that person, it will be a no-brainer for them to hire you. And it's kind of, I guess, approaching it from that angle.
Yeah. Rodrigo's joined us, so big shout out to Rodrigo.
Rodrigo, what's up?
Rodriganator. Cool. So next up, we got 3 more questions. We got 4 minutes. How important is it to work on social media profiles? If it is important, and what is the fastest approach to make sales? Well, I would say it's important to work on social media profile if that makes sense, as far as like you're actually going to get sales out of that. So if I've got a personal brand, yeah, it probably makes sense. For me, like I'm selling explainer videos in Sweden, it doesn't make a ton of sense actually. I'll get some of it, but there's better areas to spend my time on. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's kind of like
maybe not. Depends on the
like
situation.
Test it. If it's a thing, if it's like getting somewhere, then work on it. If it's not getting anywhere, put your focus somewhere else.
Again, it's common sense, right? Is Facebook the best place, for example? Because I mean, he's asking social media, so I'm using Facebook as an example. But again, use common sense. Ask the question: does it make sense for me to spend a bunch of time on Facebook when I know that you can certainly make sales on Facebook in the B2B space, but
even things like Instagram and all of them.
Yeah. For like even Instagram, like, does it make sense for me to sell like explainer videos B2B to other businesses on Instagram? Like, probably not. Like, could you make sales from it? Yes. Is it the best use of your time? Probably not, because you could spend it on LinkedIn instead. So it's hard to put all social media profiles under one umbrella too, because LinkedIn is very different from Facebook as far as the audience, you know?
Yeah.
Cool. And he says, what's the fastest approach to make sales? Create a Facebook ad or create an ad to a landing page or a sales page.
It's like the holy grail answer. I mean, that completely depends on the offer. I don't know.
Yeah. No, he's saying explain in videos, but at the end of the day, you need an offer. You need to actually like make the offer, meaning like don't put a contact form on there. If you could put a payment link there, and then you just need exposure for the offer, right? So in the simplest form, an advertisement, whether it's AdWords or Facebook or LinkedIn, to a sales page that makes an offer where people can pay, and that's it.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Lauritz asked, how do you fire a client that is a pain in the ass, pays you pennies, and is heavily dependent on you? I initially just helped with marketing, but now I've suddenly become tech support, customer support, fucking VA, and everything.
Laurie just needs to learn the value of his time.
Yeah, I think it's about just, you know, you have to put your foot down and set the rules. You know, once you can sense that this is heading in a direction that you don't want to go down, you have to like stop it. And the later you stop it, the harder it's going to be. But people usually respect you for doing that. It's not something that they would ever like fire you for or whatever.
Literally just say, okay, so if I was in your situation and I hired a client and I was helping with their marketing and I was building it, and then they're suddenly like, oh, can you fix our website or something?
It's like, sure, we can.
Yes, I mean, sure, that's outside the scope of the original project, but we can, I can put you in contact with this guy who can do that. I'll get like a kickback. Or we can do that for you, but it will cost you this much. It's kind of like just saying, look, just, you know what, you know, it's kind of, if you hired me for marketing and then you were like telling me to go on a live chat, I'd be like, yeah, we'd be happy to like handle your live chat for you. It's outside the scope of the original project. It'll cost you this much extra. If that's not suitable, I can put you in contact with someone who'd be able to assist you with that.
Yeah. Because clients try to test you. They try to see how much they can get away with it. And I had a coaching client who he was having problems with his client not paying him. He was running Facebook ads for her. And I was like, dude, it's like she was late every single month. And I'm like, dude, you just need to, you know, draw a line in the sand and say like, you know, this is not okay. And he just sent her an email. Basically, he was very friendly about it. It was like, you know, I can't keep working for you if I'm not going to get paid, you know. And then the money was in his account the next day. So oftentimes it's just about like, you know, putting a stop to it. You have to say something because they're going to see how much they can get away with. Last question on here is not really related, but it's about, do you have any resources you can recommend to Forex trading?
I don't know anything about Forex trading.
I didn't think so.
Yeah. Sorry, Danny. I'm not
all
the
right.
guy to ask.
All right, Matt. So we've answered all the questions here. I kind of want to just ask, a bit of an open-ended question to leave it to you. If you can kind of, you know, put yourself back in the mindset of when you started and like, you know, look at all the things that you've done, both, you know, personally, financially, like everything that's changed. And what's a piece of advice or a couple that you would give to people that are maybe just started SSM or maybe even 2 years in? Like, what are some lessons that you wish you knew and you would like to share?
I think we covered some pretty good stuff already in the call. There's nothing I really want to, the biggest one I think is that priority thing, where if you do like an honest audit of yourself right now, say, you know, if you're like committed to making a freedom business or whatever, if you're there, like, yeah, I'm building my freedom business. Okay, so an example is my friend who's trying to build an internet business too. It's kind of like that action expresses priorities thing, where like, whenever I talk to him, he's like, yeah, man, internet business, I'm going to make this internet business. It's great, it's great, it's great. And then I'm like, oh, cool, what do you do today? And he'll be like, oh, man, yeah, I went out last night, got completely smashed, chased all these girls around, did all this stuff, like hung over today, just chilling out. I'm like, oh, cool, what about the business? He's like, oh, yeah, you know, I'll send some emails later. And it's like, okay, well, sure, in his mind, he's working on his business and that's his priority, but his actions are clearly showing his priority is in chasing girls and getting drunk and partying, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with doing that, but you need to recognize that that's what your priority is right now, despite the lie you're telling to yourself. So it's kind of like saying, if this is truly a priority, are you 100% committed to doing that right now? Like, is that where your energy is? Is that what you're focused on when you wake up in the morning? Are you getting out of bed and working on that thing first? I mean, if you have a job, obviously that's different, but like as soon as you get free time, is that what you're focused on? And that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's huge. I've been talking about that a lot in these past couple of weeks for the new guys specifically, because if you don't have commitment, then you're going to give up when things get tough. And it's like, you know, I used to be in love with the idea of, for example, that my wife would have her own freedom business and do that. And it's like, and she even wants it herself. But she's not committed to it. So it would never work. And like, we were having this conversation, not you and I, but me and some other guys a couple of weeks ago about them wanting that too. Like, oh, how awesome would it be if my girlfriend had a freedom business and we could all travel together? And they're kind of like trying to convince their girlfriends to start a freedom business. But it's like, that's never going to work. If it's going to work, it's because you are actually making the business work. But if you try to get somebody who's not committed to start a successful business, never, ever going to happen unless they get really lucky.
A good example of that is kind of like, I mean, obviously they want that. It's kind of like you saying to me, Matt, how would you like to be freaking jacked and just like shredded and awesome and like just like a beast? I'm like, I would very much like that. Yes. And you're like, yes, so just do this, do this, do this. And I might even like go to the gym with you a few times on this kind of thing. But my priority right now is over here, and I'm not going to get it. And it's like, you could try like force me to get to that level of like bodybuilding, but unless that's my priority, there's nothing you can do. And it's, like your wife, like my girlfriend, it's like you want that for them, but their priority is on whatever their priority is.
It's desire versus ambition.
Yeah.
It's like like you were saying, you can want something but not be willing to put in the work for it. And that's literally the difference between desire and ambition, right? It's like you desire something, but if you have the ambition to actually get it done, that's a totally different thing. And there's a very small group of people out of the people that have desire that actually have the ambition to do something about it. So yeah, commitment, huge. It's like the one thing you need to keep going. like Art Williams. What was his thing? It was like, you keep going time after time. Pick yourself up to bat one more time, to go for it one more time. Whatever. I need to watch that again. All right. We've made it. Good stuff, man. Anything else to add before we wrap up today?
Not really. Are there any questions in the YouTube chat?
Nah.
What's up, ballers? So your Facebook post, Rodrigo. Congrats on those sales.
All right. So thanks a lot, guys, for joining. I want you to go to our Facebook group, put SSM, hashtag SSM livestream 2. Put my biggest takeaway from hashtag SSM livestream 2 was go to the Facebook group right now. Copy that text. It's in the Facebook chat, in the YouTube chat, and write a post and just tell us what your biggest takeaway was from our little chat today, because we definitely want to know what's kind of resonating the most and what you kind of, caught on.
And in terms of me, I think I won't be on any videos soon, so I will see everyone in Barcelona.
Yeah, if you really want Matt's deepest secrets, you find him in Barcelona. You get some Bulgarian, Bulgarian rakia. No. You spice his drinks when he's not looking.
If you come to me in Barcelona and say, "Hey Matt, I'm going to buy you dinner at La Flauta tonight or Tiki Berry, my two favorite restaurants," I'll be like, I'm 100% there, and while I'm stuffing my face with a Spanish ham,
you get a free
you'll get all my secrets. Free consulting, minus the cost of dinner.
$600 dinner.
No, it's actually really cheap.
Is it?
What's funny is a lot of my favorite restaurants in the world, I've been to like some of the most expensive, best restaurants in the world, but none of them are in my favorites. My favorites are all like pretty cheap, but they're just freaking amazing. And two of them are in Barcelona.
Nice.
So, yeah, if you want amazing food, hang out with Matt. Well,
Do
I'm
that.
going to go to these restaurants anyway, so you just have to like hide in there and then you can like pounce my table or something. But anyway,
All right.
see you there.
Good stuff. Thanks for joining, Matt. We'll see you in Barcelona. Have a good weekend in Las Vegas. Have a drink for me.
See you there.
All right. Ciao.